Good morning. We want to welcome you to the 2023 Guadalupe County Goat Show. Sorry for the delay. We're getting things set up. Miss Brooklyn Hallmark is going to get us started off today. Please rise.
Thank you. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Brooklyn. We'll be starting with our does. Class 1, please line up. We're happy to have you all here today, and we're really excited to have Mr. Eric Zimmerman here as our judge. Mr. Eric Zimmerman is the District Extension Administrator for the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service in College Station. He served as a county extension agent in Tom Green, Llano, Grimes, and Brazos counties. He is a native of Menard and received his bachelor's degree in science and a master's of science degrees from Texas A&M University in the Department of Rangeland Ecology and Management. He has judged over 350 lamb and goat shows throughout the United States. Eric is married to his wife, Stephanie, and they have 20-year-old twins. Sorry, I was going to give you 20 kids. Jackson and Ramsey, who exhibited lambs and goats during their 4-H career. They are currently sophomores at Texas A&M University. Please help welcome our judge, Eric Zimmerman. Currently checking in our Class 1 female exhibitors. We will do Class 1, 2, and 3 of the breeding does, and then we will have our champion drive for our does, and then we will start with Class 1 of our withers. Here you go. We'll start with class 1 of our breeding does to start off our 2023 goat show. In class 1 of breeding does, we have 17 entries and all will receive ribbons. Does are not eligible for auction, but all will receive ribbons today.
All right. Boy, I tell you, there's a really nice competitive class of doe kids. These females are outstanding, especially when you talk about the ones that worked their way to the top. Before we they did not disappoint. And there's some things here, some give and take as we get down the line in relation to what they bring to the table. But for me, again, I think you talk about a goat and a female that's built right. And I think when you talk about breeding animals, you got to have them built right first and foremost. It's not all about muscle. And you say that too even when the markets show. This young lady's doe here is built right. She is phenomenal in terms of stoutness. She's just built superior in terms of her bone work from the ground up. You take a look at her in terms of her hip design. She's exceptional in terms of her lines. She's got a good line to her. She's got a great rib, a great forerib, one that's just balanced up extremely well. She's straight down her top line. She's equally as good in the underline. Bounces up well. Extended up through her front end. She's feminine, but yet, again, she's really, real powerful to handle. She's probably maybe one of our greenest handling goats to the top 4 or 5 or 6. She doesn't have near the condition to say it's 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. If she had that much more condition, she would be even more powerful. She's stout, she's feminine, she's good rib. She wins the class really easily. The young lady's goat in second. I think it follows our goat in terms of build. Certainly not near as big a frame, not near as long a body as what we see in our class winner. But you put your hands on this goat. She is dominant down her top. She's explosive in her rack. She's deep and really full in that hip-loin junction. To me, again, we take a look at her from the side. She's exceptional in terms of her rib. She runs uphill. Is she as stout and made from the ground up as what we see in our class winner? Probably not. Is she a long enough bodied in relation to what she brings to the table for her muscle? Certainly so. Where she does get beat also is she's just a little bit more less dimensional out her hip, tapers towards her tail just a bit more than what we see in our class winner, but that's a really nice female. The dilemma here, and you start taking a look at some of these goats, is taking a look at these ones that are just a little bit heavier condition. But when you talk about this goat and the way she's built, to me, again, one that's just good in her lines as far as the way she appears from the side. One that, to me, is straight down her top line. She's expressive in her top shape. To me, I think she's a little bit better up through her front third. I think she's just a bit more extended than maybe some of the goats that we see down the line here. I like her in terms of her length of body. She's got a big old top in her as well. Does she track with that natural base width is what we see in first and second in relation to her body size? Probably not, but I like her in terms of her appearance from the side, and that's why we moved her up in that third place hole. We get into the fourth place goat. This is the one that's a little bit different in terms of design. This is the one that gets a little bit easier in its top. This is the one that kind of gets a little bit off in terms of that hip point or that hip and those pins set. Certainly when you get this goat on the move, she tracks wide. She's natural in her space width. She's big in her forearm. She's super in terms of her top. She just doesn't fit me in overall appearance from the side to move up any higher. We get into the next couple of goats here again, ones that have got some shape down their top line. They've got some power. The young lady's goat in fifth. Long bite, probably a little bit coarser up through her blade in her front, like to change that about her, maybe extend her just a bit. Sort of a couple kind of individual in the fifth place or sixth place hole. One that gets a little bit rounder in her hip, a little bit loose in terms of her blades when she gets on the move. Then we get into some goats here. They're giving up some muscle. They're giving up some eye appeal. They're giving up some design, maybe even giving up overall size. So we have to really, change that about them and make them a little bit more competitive. Really, really nice class. Great class winner. Congratulations. Give them all a round of applause. Good job.
Class 2 of breeding does will be entering the ring shortly. Results from Class 1 breeding does. In 5th place, Lily Lunday from Kingsbury 4-H. In 4th place, Lovett Peck from New Berlin 4-H. 3rd place, Lily Lunday from Kingsbury 4-H. 2nd place, Ruby Corolla from Marion FFA. And 1st place is Alexis Guthrie from Marion FFA. In Class 2, we have 2 entries. We'd like to take a moment to thank our buckle donors. Our champion doe donation of the buckle was donated by the Gurman Goats, Stephen Gurman, County Commissioner, Precinct 4, wife Shirley, and son David Gurman and family. Our reserve champion doe buckle was donated by Lynn and Holly McCall, Kevin and Michelle Hazy, Blake and Sharon McCall, and Preston and Miranda Richardson. Class 3, breeding does needs to be lining up. No, each division gets one of those. Yeah, that's what I thought you told me. We can give them all to them when they come in for the drop. So just hold them all. We'll give them to them in the drop. Sounds like fun. She got them, I think, in the heavier. What? Second. Ruby?
Testing. Pretty straightforward class in our two-tooth. Certainly, I think one that's just dominant in terms of her barrel, her power, her, again, one that's extremely broody to appearance from the side. She's certainly powerful down her top line. She's explosive in terms of her hip. She's explosive in terms of her stifle. For me, if you want to kind of pick her apart a little bit, we'd like to extend her up through her front third just a bit more, make her just a notch more feminine, maybe change her when you get her on the move away from you. She doesn't travel quite as nicely as what you'd see on those hind legs, but I like her in terms of volume of muscle. I like her in terms of her power out her hip. Young lady's goat in second. Long body. This is one that's extended up through her front. She's feminine up through her front third. She's good in terms of her rib. She's good in terms of her forerib as well. To me, again, when you start really taking a look at her, she just plays out in terms of shape down her top. She doesn't have quite the stifle expression as what we see in our class winner. Again, one that in terms of femininity, I appreciate that about her. I just need more power in her skeleton. Nice duo here out of class 2. Let's give these young people a round of applause. Good job.
Results from Class 2. Second place, Cameron Cerna, New Berlin 4-H. First place, Mason Lott, Marion FFA. Now coming to the ring will be Class 3, and there's 5 entries. At the conclusion of the doe show, we will proceed directly into the weather show. We will not be taking a break today. We will show straight through.
think this female that wins this class does so real easy. She is really nice to look at. She's really nice, appearing kind of goat. To me, one, you start taking a look at her. She's elevated. She's clean through her chest floor. Her blades and that shoulder is exceptional in terms of what they blend in there. Again, when you take a look at her from the side, she's good in her line. She's exceptional in terms of her rib. She's got some depth of rib, yet she's still clean up through her full rib. You take a look at her, that three-quarter view, she's explosive and expressive out that hip, big in terms of her stifle. You put your hands on her, she's smooth down her top. She's the biggest handling goat in relation to her frame size, certainly one that's just powerful and smooth in that hip-loin junction. To me, I like her when she tracks away from you. I think she wins the class real easily. There's another extended, long-bodied goat in the second-place hole, real feminine in her own right. To me, one that's maybe not quite as dimensional out of her hip as what we see in her class winner. She's not quite as cool to look at from the side in relation to the one that wins this class. When you get her on the move, maybe not quite as nice in terms of the way she tracks, in terms of her natural base width. But to me, I think she's extended enough, she's long-bodied enough, she's feminine enough to fit in that second place hole. Real powerful goat in third, one that to me just a notch shorter from flank to flank. Certainly one that's just a little bit shorter up to that front third, maybe not quite as feminine and extended as what we see in the top two of this class. To me, though, I like the power down her top. I like the power in her stifle. I like the power in her hip. She's probably the heaviest conditioned goat in the top three. So that takes away from you. You have to really pick her apart and kind of evaluate her and what she brings to the table. She's got enough muscle for me today in relation to that frame size to put her in that third place hole. Then we get a long, extended, elevated kind of goat in fourth. This is a real feminine goat. Again, she's very similar in relation to our class winner in terms of her lines, in terms of her heart. She's got plenty of rib shape. She's just not quite there in terms of her power. She's the one that tapers towards her tail head just a bit more, not quite as dimensional out of her hip. So I'd like to change that about her. Partly is that I think she's the greenest one. If we put just a bit more expressive, and I think it's going to make her a better appearing goat. Nice class. Let's give these four exhibitors a round of applause as well. Good job.
Class 1 of Weathers needs to start lining up over here in the holding area. Class 1, please start lining up. Results from Class 3 of the breeding does. First place, Lily Lunday, Kingsbury 4-H. Second place, Lily Lunday, Kingsbury 4-H. Third place, Cameron Cerna, New Berlin 4-H. And fourth place, Reese Kelm, Navarro 4-H. We will now have our Grand Champion and Reserve Grand Champion drive. And again, we'd like to thank our buckle donors. The Champion Doe buckle was donated by Gurman Goats, Stephen Gurman, County Commissioner, Precinct Number 4, wife Shirley, and son David Gurman and family. Here to present the buckle is Mr. Stephen Gurman. Here in the drive, we'll have first place from Class 1, Alexis Guthrie from Marion FFA. Second place from Class 1, Ruby Corolla, Marion FFA. Class 2, first place, Mason Lott. Second place from Class 2 is Cameron Cerna. And then in Class 3, first place is Lily Lunday, and second place, Lily Lunday.
Let's give these 6 exhibitors a round of applause. Nice set of females out here. Really high quality females. Again, some, especially when you take a look at what the first place and moving up in that first place hole, what they brought to the table in relation to their individual class. They fit really nicely. They're designed right. They're built right. They're just great to look at from the side. They're not weathers. They have to have some femininity. They have to have some extension up to that front third. We can match them with a buck that's going to put a lot of power on them. They've got to be built right too. They've got to have some muscle. Don't get me wrong, but they've got to be built right too, and combine that look and that balance and that touch and handle. To me, again, it gets down to one. For me, she's built right. She's just exceptional in terms of her stoutness from the ground up. She's exceptional in terms of her build design. She's not even close to being where she's going to be in terms of getting better and better, because she's probably the thinnest goat what we see out here in the top 3. Certainly one that's built right, outstanding individual in her own right. Young lady out of Class 1. Let's give her a round of applause. That's a nice female. Good job.
Champion breeding doe is exhibited by Alexis Guthrie from Marion FFA.
We bring this second place out, and this is where it gets tough. And I say that because there's so much difference between one of these doe kids and a 2, in a 4-tooth. You get into the age division. Again, I get back to. For me, we wanted to move them. We moved them, and and it gets back to being just a bit better in terms of the movement away from you. Again, one that's just really, really cool to look at. When you get this female stuck, she looks the part. I think she follows our class winner and our champion out of Class 1. That's going to be reserved out of Class 1 as well. Congratulations to her. Good job.
Reserve Grand Champion exhibited by Ruby Corolla from Marion FFA. We'd also like to appreciate our buckle donor for Reserve Champion Doe. It was donated by Lynn and Holly McCall, Kevin and Michelle Hazy, Blake and Shannon McCall, Preston and Miranda Richardson. And Michelle Hazy is here to present the buckle. And Holly McCall and Miranda Richardson. Class 1 of Market Goats is lining up. We have 8 entries and we'll be placing 6. In the market show, if you get a ribbon, you will get an auction card. Whatever project you are planning on selling on Saturday, you have to turn in an auction card. You can turn in your auction card as soon as you know what animal what project you're planning on selling. Again, this first class is 8 entries, and we will be placing 6. We will have showmanship at the conclusion of the market show. If you have any questions, please feel free to come ask us. Class 2, market goats, please be lining up in the holding arena. Class 2, please line up.
moving this lightweight weather class, this goat that wins the class, he does so. You can tell when you walk in the arena how good they're going to be, and he doesn't disappoint. I guess, before we talk how good about it, the good things about him, you get critical. When he first walked in the arena, he was wanting to suck down. He just didn't look good. He was just being contrary. And once he kind of got used to these shavings, then when he became the goat that I thought he would be. He's stout. He's powerful. He's just exceptional in terms of design. He's certainly the most dominant in terms of shape down his top. He's the best hip goat. One is long-bodied. He's stout from the ground up. He's big in his forearm. He's clean to his chest floor. He's wanting to suck down again right now as compared to a while ago. He's a good one to start this class off with. Great touching goat. I think he wins the class really easily. Then you get into the next few goats here making decisions. This goat here in the next hole, to me, is he as good a hip as what we want? Probably not. But he's got enough shape down his top. He's explosive down his top line in relation to the remainder of the class. He's long-bodied. He's good enough in his rib. I'd like to tighten him up just to his forehead just a bit more. Maybe get his tail up. And sometimes these goats, they won't get their tail up, and they don't look near as good a hip as they really are. He's good enough for me today. He's certainly the fresher handling goat when you talk about him as compared to the third place goat. I think he's just a bit more shapely down his top. Certainly one, I like that about him as well. I think he follows our class winner nicely. The goat in third. This goat just kept working his way up and working his way up. And I say that because this goat's built right. This goat's built exactly like or very similar to our class winner. He's just in a smaller package. He's a green as a gourd kind of individual. But you look at him from the side, he's stout, he's built right, he's good in his lines, he's good in his rib. That three-quarter view, he's big in terms of his hip. He just doesn't have the muscle and skeleton to compete with the one ahead of him. He's a little bit raw to the handle. He's just a little bit raw in that hip point junction, not quite as deep in terms of his loin, but I love him in terms of his build. This is a long-bodied, extended goat here in the next hole. For this frame size, we need to have him just a bit more power, especially in the middle and lower portion of his leg, one that tapers towards his tailhead just a bit more, a little bit flatter in his stifle. Then we get into the next couple of goats here again. They just don't have the shape down the top. They get a little bit flatter rib. You don't have that curvature to the rib quite as much as ones ahead of them. There's not as much foundation to lay in terms of top shape. So we need to power him up just a bit more to make him more competitive. Nice class winner. Let's give class winner a round of applause. Good job.
Thank you. And results for Class 1. 6th place, Allison Roshuber, Navarro FFA. 5th place, Joshua Kotzer, Shooting Sports 4-H. 4th place, Blake Roshuber, Navarro FFA. 3rd place, Cameron Cerna, New Berlin 4-H. 2nd place, Colson Owen, New Berlin 4-H. And 1st place, Reese Isham, Navarro FFA. Now entering the ring is Class 2. We have 10 entries and we'll be placing 8. Along with filling out your sale cards, if whatever project you are planning on selling, you must take a picture with. The photographer is set up back here in the corner. Whatever animal or project you are planning on selling, we must have a picture. If you have other projects this week and you're not sure what you're going to sell, please go ahead and take your picture with your goat. We'd rather have too many pictures than not enough. So if there's any chance you're going to sell your goat, please take a picture with it. Class 3 market goats should be lining up in the holding area. If you have a goat in Class 3, please come to the holding area.
Moving to Class 2, this is a class winner. I think he moved his way into the top role in relation to what he brings to the table compared to the ones behind him in terms of completeness. Long-bodied, really fresh to the handle. Again, one is just extended. Good rib. I think he's better through his full rib than what we see in our second place goat. I think he's, to me, just really fresh to the handle. Longer from hooks to pins, longer from flank to flank. He combines that transition, that hip point junction, that stifle. For me, he's extended up through his front, measures well, handles well. I like him to win the class. The young lady's goat in second, one I like in terms of handle. This is a big old powerful goat as well. This is the one that gets a little bit different. This is a little bit different in terms of full rib, in terms of rib appearance. One that's just a notch shorter from flank to flank. Again, one that's just maybe a little bit shorter from hooks to pins. So not near as big a frame, not near as long a body goat. But with that said, you put your hands on this goat and compare him to the remainder of the class. I think you have to move him up in that number 2 hole because he's smooth, he's powerful, he's got big old shape down his top line, and he's got a big old hip in him. I just would like to extend him a bit in terms of length of body, in terms of length of hip. Really nice goat. Then we get into some goats here. You think, okay, there's some things here, give and take. The young lady's goat in third, really long, extended up kind of through his front end as well. In relation to what he brings to the table, he's just a notch shorter from flank to flank in relation to his overall body size. He's very fresh handling goat. He's the one that wants to get up at his top a little bit. Doesn't balance up quite as well for me today. To me, in relation to his frame size, not near as powerful in terms of his stifle, but certainly one in terms of freshness. I like him in that third place hole. This goat right here in fourth place is probably the greener one of the top three. He's long-bodied. In fact, at the end of the day, he may be one of those that's going to get into the heavyweight division. He's long-bodied. He's elevated. You see, he's got a big old forearm, and so he's going to get powered up as he goes through the fitting process. He's just not quite there yet in terms of his handle. Again, to me, one just a little bit raw to the touchdown, his top line, but I like his hip. I like his length of body. He's just not quite there yet. Then we get into some goats here, maybe travel a little bit different when you get them on the move. To me, not near as natural in terms of their base width, a little bit rawer handling goats when you talk about that loin depth and that hip point junction. So I think there's good days ahead of them. They're just not there yet. They're not there today to make them as competitive as the ones in the trio up in the top end of the class. Competitive class. Let's give them a round of applause. Nice Class 2 goats.
Results from Class 2. 8th place, Paisley Ingolke, Kingsbury 4-H. 7th place, Maya Diaz, Outdoor Challenge 4-H. 6th place, Apple Ibarra, Steel FFA. 5th place, Brinley Bierstead, New Berlin 4-H. 4th place, Madison Niles, Marion FFA. 3rd place, Maisie Bierstead, New Berlin 4-H. Second place, Lottie Owen, New Berlin 4-H. And first place, Reese Isham, Navarro FFA. Now coming into the ring is Class 3. We have 9 entries and we'll place 7. At the conclusion of Class 3, we will have a Division 1 champion and reserve champion drive.
We get in the last class of this lightweight division. This goat here that wins the class, again, in fact, the duo that work the way they're top, or even as far down as the top three, I think, they separate themselves in relation to the remainder of the class. They're just built better. They certainly handle better. The goat that wins the class, he's just exceptionally firm and fresh to the touch and handle. He's not the longest frame or longest body goat in the class, but he's certainly long enough for me today. I like him in terms of the way those blades and that shoulder ties in. I like him in terms of his lines. To me, again, he's just smooth down his top line. To me, he's stout enough from the ground up. You get appears from the side and appear from the three-quarter angle. Good in terms of his stifle with his hip. To me, I like him to win the class. Young lady's goat in second. Just kept working his way up and working his way up. Again, one that's elevated. This is a big old stout-made goat from the ground up. For me, maybe not quite as nice in his lines. He wants to kind of dip down just a little bit easier in his top. To me, again, though, love him in terms of his extension. Maybe not quite as smooth down his top line, especially in that hip point junction is what we see in our class winner, but certainly one I think quite nice in that second place hole. These two goats in terms of hip design separate themselves in relation to the remainder of the class. This goat in the third place hole, he is smooth down his top. He's got some shape down his top. He's good in terms of his loin. He's good in terms of his length of body. Where he plays out, he just gets beat in terms of dimension of his hip. He wants to taper towards his tail head just a little bit more than ideal. It's like to change that about him. Next couple goats here, we kept them in the top 5. For me, again, when you get him on the move, this one just a little bit more up front. When you get him on the move, again, he's one that wants to roll up into his top just a bit more. But I think, to me, I like him in terms of extension. I like him in terms of the way he keeps his chest floor up. Powerful goat in the fifth place hole, probably just a bit more waisty up to his chest floor. Got a bit more shoulder to him. He's the one that, to me, wants to drop his chest floor when you get him on the move. A really neat goat in the next hole here, long body, just doesn't have enough definition at the top. Then we get into down the line here, rawer handling, less muscular goats to round the class out with. Nice class here. Congratulations to all these 9 exhibitors. Good job.
Results from Class 3. Seventh place, Bryden Manning, Navarro 4-H. Sixth place, Reese Kelm, Navarro 4-H. Fifth place, Santa Clara 4-H was Stephen Hare. Sorry, spicing things up. Fourth place, Brennan Perkins, Marion FFA. Third place, Abigail Owen, New Berlin 4-H. Second place, Riley Taylor, Outdoor Challenge 4-H. And first place, Ava Delgado, Clemens FFA. If you have a Class 4 market goat, please start lining up in the holding area. Now in the ring is our Division 1 champion Drive. First place out of Class 1 is Reese Isham from Navarro FFA. And second place out of Class 1 is Colson Owen from New Berlin 4-H. Coming from Class 2, first place, Reese Isham, Navarro FFA. And second place, Lottie Owen from New Berlin 4-H. And from Class 3, first place, Ava Delgado from Clemens FFA. And second place is Riley Taylor from Outdoor Challenge 4-H. Just as a reminder, whatever project you're planning on selling on Saturday has to have a sale qualification form, which is a little white card that's given to you with your ribbon turned in. And you must have a picture. So take a picture just in case. If you have other projects throughout the week, we'd rather have too many pictures rather than not enough. I'd like to take an opportunity to thank our buckle donors. Our champion market goat buckle donor is Double J Livestock, Alex Jones family. And our reserve champion market goat buckle was donated by the
Rollo or Rolo? Rollo? Rolo? Yes, Rolo.
Rolo Insurance, Monica Thomas.
Nice set of goats out here in our light division. Really competitive group. Very nice to the touch and handle. They're built right. They handle right. Again, when they walk good. You know, it's kind of hard to determine what they're going to do. And I like giving this young lady a hard time because she seems to always be on a goat that doesn't want to walk. That's okay. These daggum halters don't do us any justice a lot of times. You can't control them. And sometimes it just makes a difference. Again, I know how good they are, but I like to see them naturally move freely through the arena. You talk about the lightweight. He was wanting a fighter. He kind of wants to suck down a little bit. Does that help him or hurt him? It hurts him because he just doesn't look good on the move unless he was walking out free. He's built right. He handles great. He's just an exceptional goat in his own right. Really long body goat out of class 2. Really firm to the handle, extended, and combining that with a great touch. Young ladies go out of 3, very smooth to the handle, very smooth to the touch. For me, when you take a look at him, maybe not quite as long a body as ideal, but certainly when you combine that touch. Again, when you talk about this individual weight division and what they bring to the table, there's one, for me, extends himself in terms of bringing everything to the table to win this championship. I think to me, when you talk about the reserve champion role, there's one that falls in quite nicely. To me, he may not be quite as perfect as what we see in the build, but he's certainly good enough for me today. Young lady out of class 1, let's give her a round of applause. That's your champion. Congratulations. Good job. Bring that second place out. Again, pretty nice goat in his own right. Young man, you got a good one, but you just happen to get into a class where there's an exceptional goat. As I said, follows our class winner or our champion in this division quite nicely. Really good to look at from the side. Exceptional in terms of handle. The young lady out of class 2. Let's give her a round of applause as well. Good job.
Our champion Division 1 goat was exhibited by Reese Isham from Navarro FFA. And our reserve champion Division 1 goat was also exhibited by Reese Isham from Navarro FFA. Congratulations, Reese. And we'll be moving on to Class 4. And in Class 4, we have 11 entries, and we'll be placing 8 for the auction.
Entering the ring now is Class 4. We have 11 entries. We will be placing 8.
Class 5, this is your call to come to the holding area. Class 5, please line up in the holding area.
Well, this is a nice handling goat to win this class. He's just really firm to the handle, firm to the touch. Again, one that's just exceptional in terms of height. Opened up through his chest floor. One that's just, he's extended enough. I think he's better in terms of his hip design. He's better in terms of his pin placement. When you get into him and really look at him from that view, from that three-quarter view, he's really wide, tracks exceptionally well, good in his rib. I like him to win the class real easily. This is a good goat in second. This is a really firm handling goat. In terms of fame, or in terms of touch, he's very similar to our class winner. Boy, he's big down his top. He's firm to the handle. Where do we kind of pick him apart? He wants to get just a little bit bigger and bolder through the middle portion of his body. He's just a little bit shorter in terms of his pin set and his hooks and his hip design. Maybe just a little bit frailer, but that's getting real critical because that doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot to me. I wanted to tighten him up through his middle, lengthen him in terms of that hip, but certainly I love his handle. He's a really stout handling goat in that second place hole as well. He's not quite as complete as what we see in our class winner. A little softer handling goat in third, just a notch shorter from flank to flank, certainly just a bit off in terms of hip. He's the one that tapers towards his tail head just a bit more. He's stout and bold from the ground up. To me, I like to firm this goat up, power him up down his top line. If we do that, we make him more competitive. We get into a goat that's in that fourth place hole. Lots of muscle in this goat. This goat got a lot of power on his skeleton. He's just a real piecey. He just doesn't blend quite as well. His shoulders are a little bit looser when you get him on the move. He just doesn't tie in quite as well. He falls apart when the move, and I like to change that about him. Then the next goat here in line, again, plenty of top shape, not quite as dimensionalized hip. Down the line, maybe not quite as nice in terms of overall appearance from the side. Very competitive class, nice trio, a really good handling duo up to the top end. Good job, young people.
Results from Class 4. In 8th place, Emma Bagley from New Berlin 4-H. 7th place, Brandon Ulrich from Santa Clara 4-H. 6th place, Landry Canaham, Marion FFA. 5th place, Annabelle Basha, New Berlin 4-H. 4th place, Holly Bishop, Navarro FFA. 3rd place, Ava Delgado, Clemens FFA. 2nd place, Trace Guthrie, Marion FFA. And your class winner from Marion FFA is Ruby Corolla.
I missed it. I'm sorry. I wasn't there.
Class 5 is coming into the ring. We have 9 entries and we'll place 7. Class 6, if you have any market goats in Class 6, please line up in the holding area.
I really like this goat. I say that if once he gets set, and that's what once he gets set, and he just get into this young lady, that's where he dominates the class. He is extremely powerful, extremely thin-hided, just really built right. Clean up in my mind up through his shoulder and chest floor. Again, when you get him set and you get him pulled apart, you can see he's long enough bodied. You combine that with that handle and touch. He's explosive in his rack. One that runs uphill, long bodied, long fronted, measures well in relation to his frame size. You combine that with his handle and his touch. For me, I like him to win the class. Really extended kind of goat in second. This goat's probably certainly the longest bodied goat from flank to flank when you compare him to first and second. But to me, he just needs to power up just a bit more down his top line. He's real firm to the handle. He's really thin-hided. I like his touch. He gets a little bit more peaked right behind those shoulders in relation to his definition of top in relation to our class winner. You take a look at this goat, he has a tendency to just get ever so slightly of more flat rib shape to him when you're over the top of him. That allows not for much as much foundation to be put on top of the or foundation to make as much shape down his top line. He maybe not quite as dimensional at his hip. That's getting critical. He's good enough for me today. He does get a little bit flatter in his stifle. I love his extension. I love his length of body. Now, with that said, he's the greener one of the two. And so if you put a little bit more condition on him, he's going to get better here. He's certainly going to get better here, and he's probably going to blow out just a bit more in that hip. I like these two to win the beat first and second. A little soggier kind of made goat in third. Again, the one wants to get a little easy in his top, a little easier in his middle. To me, in terms of what he brings to the table in this class, he's stout from the ground up. He's big hip. He's got some top shape to him. Maybe not quite as nice in terms of that transition as what we see in first and second, that hip point junction. But boy, I tell you, I like him in terms of his stifle as well. I just like to tighten him up through his middle, maybe get him in terms of his middle up, just in his top up in him just a bit more. But certainly when you move him away from me, he's got that natural base width. Next couple of goats here, just a little bit piecier, a little bit more less dimensional out their hip. Certainly not near as definitive in terms of their top shape to compete with the ones ahead of them. Nice trio up here. Really, really nice handling goats. Let's give these young people a round of applause as well. Good job.
Class 5 results for the Market Goat Show. 7th place, Julian Saldivar, Marion FFA. 6th place, Madison Niles, Marion FFA. 5th place, Paisley Inglekey, Kingsbury 4-H. 4th place, Tatiana Soto, Steel FFA. 3rd place, Apple Ibarra, Steel FFA. 2nd place, Ruby Corolla, Marion FFA. And our class winner out of Marion FFA is Alexis Guthrie. Now entering the ring is class 6. We have 9 entries and 7 will place. Just as a reminder, if you place with your goat, you will get a sale qualification form, which is a little white card. If you are planning on selling your goat, you will need to fill out that card and turn it in here at the announcer stand during the show. After the show, you can turn it in the show office.
Kind of similar to what we've seen in some other classes. You talk about this goat, and then there's everybody else. He's just exceptional. He's built right. He just, I didn't have to handle him but twice. And go, yeah, okay, there's everything good about him. He is stout, great rib, long body, big hip. You could just take a look at him from the side. He's opened up through his chest for you. Yeah, he's real clean and through his shoulder. He just wedges up really good. You put your hands on him. Definitive down his top line, explosive in his hip, huge in terms of his hip point junction, big stifle. I like him in the way he moves. He doesn't change. That's extremely critical for me. Sometimes these young people can get him propped up quite nicely on the profile, and then they completely change on the move. This one does not. He's good. He's built right. He handles right. He fits the bill. He wins the class in my mind real easily. This is a long body goat in second. We talked with this young lady. He just wouldn't set. Now he's set. That's where he looks good. Again, a big top goat. Is he quite squared down his top is what we see in our class winner? No, not close. He's a little bit softer to the handle. We want to frame him up, but I love his extension. He is exceptionally cool ribbed, long-bodied, balances up well, got a big hip in him, just doesn't have quite the power down his top line as what we see in our class winner. Certainly one is nice, though, in that second place hole. Real powerful goat in third, kind of the different kind of goat in the top three. He's the one that's just a notch shorter from flank to flank, just a little bit shorter in terms of his hip. For me, he's the one that doesn't wedge up quite as well. He's got just a bit more shoulder. Sometimes that's a give and take kind of a deal because as powerful as he is down his top line, as big a stifled as he is, they sometimes have a tendency to have a bit more shoulder. He's got the shoulder to him. We just need to clean him up there, lengthen him up, maybe elevate him up to his front third to where he's just as eye appealing in terms of a front third and that heart and that full rib is what we see in 1 and 2. I love the power on him. He's got lots of power. I appreciate that handle. One that to me in the fourth place hole, he's the one that gets a little easier in his top. He just doesn't have the definitive top shape to what we see in the top three. Certainly a little bit more base narrow, a little bit more tapered towards his tail head. Then we get into the goat here. Again, we talk about goats that change on the move. He does change on the move, but when you get him propped up, he's got plenty of muscle in relation to his contemporaries down the line. That's why we moved him up in that hole. I like to clean him up over his blades, kind of tighten him up a little bit on the move when he tracks away from you. Very nice class, competitive class, really good class winner. Congratulations on all these young people. Good job.
Results for Class 6. 7th place, Cadence Clarner, Santa Clara 4-H. 6th place, Luke Porchetta, New Berlin 4-H. 5th place, Stacen Taylor, Steel FFA. 4th place, Emma Hartman, Navarro FFA. 3rd place, Lovett Peck, New Berlin 4-H. 2nd place, Riley Childs, Kingsbury 4-H. And our class winner from Class 6 is Jasmine Missildine, Outdoor Challenge 4-H. Now coming into the ring are our first and second place class winners from Class 4, 5, and 6 for our Division II champion and reserve champion selection. From Class 4, first place, Ruby Corolla from Marion FFA. Second place, Trace Guthrie from Marion FFA. In Class 5, our class winner, Alexis Guthrie from Marion FFA. And our second place, Ruby Corolla from Marion FFA. And our first place from Class 6, Jasmine Missildine, Outdoor Challenge 4-H. And our second place from Class 6, Riley Childs, Kingsbury 4-H. If you have a market goat in Class 7, please start lining up in our holding area. Class 7, please start lining up. We'd also like to take a moment to recognize our buckle sponsors. Our champion market goat buckle was donated by Double J Livestock, the Alex Jones family. And our reserve champion market goat buckle was donated by the Rollo Insurance, Monica Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. Right? Yeah. I told Jolie he had to do two things today. He had to, if we liked the judge, he needed to hire him again, and he needed to volunteer y'all all to stay.
He also said that you had to buy us all whiskey.
Me?
He did say that.
Does it matter how old the whiskey is?
$50. It should minimum.
I might have some wild turkey in the cabinet.
Lightweight division was really good. It gets really good here. Nice set. Really good in terms of handle. The 86-pound goat. He's built right. He's elevated. He's lengthy, and he's green. And that's even kind of encouraging because he's going to get better and better. To me, really, really cool handling goat. The second place goat, obviously in that class, didn't fit me quite as well in terms of design. Just a notch shorter flank. But boy, I tell you, the young man, when he gets him cranking, he's just fresh to the handle and firm to the touch. I like that. Young lady's goat in the middle class again. I think it could be compared similarly maybe to the second place goat in terms of his build, in terms of his hip design, but you compare him to his contemporaries in the class, he just blew him away in terms of rib shape, in terms of power down his top. Again, one that's just explosive out his hip. The young lady's goat in second, again, maybe not quite as powerful, not quite as dimensional as his hip, but a really good one in his own right. You get into the heavyweights here, really exceptionally handling, built, stout, long body goat. Really, really good one to look at. You don't have to handle him a whole heck of a lot to know what he's made of, and he's a good one. I talked to the young lady in the second place hole, and I say that because in class, and it's one of those deals to where you get beat by a really, really good one, but that's not to say that that's not a good one as well, all right? And that goat wouldn't set in that class, and she was kind of working. And we finally, now he's doing it again. He's being a hardhead. But just a second ago, I've handled him twice in this champion drive. She got him set. She gets into him. When she gets into him and he decides he's going to work, that top comes up, that rack comes up, and then you combine that again with a cool rib and a long body, and he fits the bill. And I think he fit nicely in that second place hole. He just got beat by a really good one. Congratulations to the young lady out of Class 3 in this division. Let's give her a round of applause. Boy, that's a really good one. As I said, when we finally got a good handle on him, we knew he was good, all right, but we didn't know how good he could be. She got him set, and you compare him to the remainder of the class for build, for handle, for touch, for elevation. He fits me, especially when he follows the reserve or the champion. That's going to be a reserve champion. Let's give her a round of applause. Good job.
Division 2 champion was awarded to Jasmine Missildine, Outdoor Challenge 4-H. And reserve champion Division 2 was Riley Childs from Kingsbury 4-H. Next in the ring is Class 7. There are 9 entries, and we are placing 7. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We will be right back. But as a reminder, if you place a goat and you potentially will sell it on Saturday, please take a picture. We have to have a picture with your project. If you have any questions about the sale and anything that pertains to it. We'll be happy to try to help you, and you can also go to the show office and ask questions. If you have your sale qualification form, this little white card, during the show, we will receive them here at the desk in the announcer stand. After the show is completed, they can go to the show office on the back side of the dance lab. Some 5 minutes are shorter than others, and we're about to get started back up with Class 7. We have 9 entries, and we will place 7. At the conclusion of the market show, we will have showmanship. Showmanship is voluntary, and whoever wants to come can come. We will do junior showmanship, then intermediate, and then senior. Junior showmanship is 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Intermediate is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And senior showmanship is 9, 10, and 11, and 12. Class 8. If you have a goat in Class 8 of the market goats, please line up in the holding area.
Take a look at this goat. He's not the coolest to look at. He's not just one that's pulled apart and extended. He's just chock full of muscle. You compare him to the remainder of the class in relation to his frame size. He's just exceptional in terms of his handle and touch. Again, this is one that's got, he's got a little bit more middle to him, or a little bit more center body to him. But you put your hands on him, he dominates the class. In fact, you talk about the goat that's in second. He's been the one that fits me quite a little bit better in terms of the design. He just doesn't have the shape down his top. To me, he's just a little bit softer to handle. When you compare him to this class winner, dominant top, dominant shape, thin-hided, smooth, getting picky. He's a little full, so it makes him look a little shorter sided. If you kind of take a little bit of that middle off of him, he changes him up quite a bit. Big hip, big stifle. I love his handle and his touch, and he combines that with some correctness of finish. Really nice one. Again, long body dude in second. Really long body. This goat handles a little bit softer. I want to frame him up a little bit. He's the one that's got a big old top in him in terms of his rack shape, and that's where he plays out. He just rolls in his loin, doesn't tie in quite as well in that transition to hip loin. I love his hip. I love his length of body. I want to firm him up a little bit. I want to change him in that hip point junction a little bit. That's getting real picky here. To me, I think if we got a little firmer handle and touch, you probably roll him up in the top hole. He just doesn't handle quite as well for me today. This one right here, again, this has got a big old top in him. This is the one that gets planar through his forerib. To me, he just wants to saunter around the arena. He just doesn't have that upward, cool looking, runs uphill kind of look to him. Long body, big top. To me, he gets a little flatter rib when you compare him to 1 and 2. And with that said, he still has some shape down his top. I want to change him in terms of his blade. Get him on the move just a little bit quicker. I think it makes a big, big difference too, okay? Nice goat here in his own right. One just gets beaten in terms of power as a fourth-place goat. This is the one that's most base narrow when you travel away from you. He's the one that gets a little easier in his top. But then again, he's the greenest of the top four, so there's probably some good days ahead of him. Then we get into some goats here that have got some shape down their top. They just are a little bit more piecey in their overall design. They get a little bit forward to their chest floor, maybe just a bit more ill design than appearance from the side. Really competitive class. Nice handling goat to win the one. Let's give them a round of applause. Good job.
Results from Class 7. 7th place, Cadence Clarner, Santa Clara 4-H. 6th place, Maisie Bierstead, New Berlin 4-H. 5th place, Madigan Blevins, Kingsbury 4-H. 4th place, Isabella Hartman, Navarro FFA. 3rd place, Max Hester, Kingsbury 4-H. 2nd place, Brooke Clements, Seguin FFA, and your class winner from Marion FFA was elected. Coming into the show ring next will be Class 8. There are 9 entries, and we'll be placing 7 for the auction. Class 9, if you have a market goat in Class 9, please line up in the holding area. If you have placed a goat and there is a chance you will sell it on Saturday, please remember to take a picture with the official photographer at the backdrop. Please remember also, if you have chosen what project you are going to sell, turn in your sale qualification form, the small white card you get with your ribbon, here to the announcer stand during the show and to the show office after the goat show. Please have that turned in by Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. The sooner the better for those of us who have to put the sale list together. If you have any questions about the auction or anything that goes with it, please feel free to come up and ask.
I got busted by this guy. I said, he goes, he's soft. I said, how do you know that that's what I'm going to be critical on? He goes, well, you said you did a good job, and that means I'm about to go over there. And I said, well, okay, I've got to change my ways because he reread me pretty good, all right? You did good, and that's right. Really a good class winner. We get into this class, you start getting into those heavy divisions. Young goats, you don't really have to worry about condition. I don't really worry about it because we need a little bit on them. These goats, especially in the top two, they fit the bill in terms of handling condition. This is a really powerful goat. This is the dimensional goat in the first place hole. He's not as cool to look at as what we've seen maybe in some of the other ones, but boy, when you talk about him in relation to the remainder of the class, he beats him in handle in terms of power down his top, in terms of stifle. To me, again, just powerful from the ground up, big in terms of his forearm. I like him in his handle. He's correct over his condition, over his ribs in terms of his condition. Tracks away from you with some base width. I like him to win the class. Get that goat gathered up a little bit. He's getting a little bit. He doesn't look near as good as he did a second ago. He's long bodied. He's got a big old top in him as well. Is he as definitive and as shapely as what we see in the class winner? No, but I like his length of body. I like his length of hip. He's good from flank to flank. I think he's got some dimension out of his hip. He's really elevated up to his front third. Again, one that's just really nice to the handle and touch. He's not dimensional out of his hip, is what we see in our class winner, but certainly one that's correct over his ribs and his condition. I like that. That's where we're getting critical on this guy. This is a powerful goat. Big hip, big top, really, really firm handling goat. This is the one that's smaller in terms of his frame. He's quicker in his pattern. He's just shorter from flank to flank. You put your hands on him, he's really more than ideal in terms of his condition over his ribs. That probably helps him in terms of the power aspect, but we got to clean him up over his ribs. If we do that, I think we're going to clean him up through his chest floor. It's going to make him more elevated. It's certainly going to make him handle better of those ribs. We do that, we make him more competitive. Lots of product in his skeleton. He just didn't fit me in terms of his condition over his ribs today. Young man, you got a good one here. Again, probably the greener handling goat of our top four. One that to me just gets a bit more peaked right behind his shoulders. Doesn't have near the rack shape, but I like his length of body. He did good. This is a powerful goat here, and we kind of want to take a look at the next few goats. When you get him looking like that, he just gets way easy in his top. When she gets him propped up, he looks a lot better. But he breaks behind his shoulders, coursed through his blade like the chain's out about him. Real softer handling goat. The next hole, long bodied, not enough product on his skeleton. Very competitive class. So nice ones up here in the top end. Let's give him a round of applause out of class number 8.
Results from Class 8. 7th place, Jake Lesage, Marion FFA. 6th place, Levi Garcia, Navarro 4-H. 5th place, Autry Canham, Marion FFA. 4th place, James Nichols, Clemens 4-H. 3rd place, Carly Alvarado, Marion FFA. 2nd place, Rustin Canham, Marion FFA. And 1st place, Trace Guthrie, Marion FFA. Now entering the show ring is Class 9. We have 8 entries and placing 6. If you have a division champion, please come to the holding ring. We will immediately following Class 9, we will choose our Division 3 champion in reserve and then have our Grand Champion Drive. After the Grand Champion Drive, we will have Showmanship. Our Showmanship will run little to big. Junior Goat Showmanship is 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Intermediate is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And Senior Showmanship is anyone in high school. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to come to the announcer stand.
Stout-made goat to win Class 9. Big hip, really cracked open, just expansive in terms of natural width when he tracks away from you. Again, one that, to me, when you get into this weight class, he's still correct in his condition. He's good in his lines. He's extremely stout from the ground up. He's big hip. Where do we want to, change him a little bit? He wants to have just a tick shoulder. You get to these goats, this frame size and this power, they're going to have a little bit. Yeah, I want him a little bit longer, but I want him a little bit more elevated. But, boy, I tell you, he's really big top, big hip, big loin. I think he wins the class real easy. Then you get into the couple goats in the next couple of lines here, the next holes. Really long and elevated goat. This goat, to me, is really fresh to the handle. He's not near as dominant in terms of shape in relation to the class winner, but he's good enough for me today. He's long hip, really elevated, good in his lines. I think he balances up a little bit better in terms of his lines compared to the third place goat. To me, when you get him on the move, I think he runs uphill just a bit more. He gets a little plainer through that blade. He gets a little bit plainer through that chest and that shoulder. Gets a little bit plainer in terms of his forehead. So he's not near as cool to look at as compared to maybe our class winner. But I like his handle touch, his freshness. I like how he runs uphill and he wedges up quite nicely. Young lady's goat in third. Another one that's got some shape down his top. This is the one that gets a little bit coarser on the move. This is the one that gets a little bit easier in his top. He wants to break right behind his shoulders a little bit. Every once in a while he gets a little bit extended so he doesn't look quite as nice in terms of his lines, especially his strength down his top line. To me, he's the one you get behind him. He's flatter stifled than compared to first and second. But in terms of correctness condition, I like him that role. The solid colored goat in the next hole here, just to me, got a big old top to him. He's the softer handling goat of our top three. He's the one that definitely breaks right behind his shoulders. He wants to get easier in his top. I like to change that about him. Get a little deeper middle kind of goat. The next hole, one that's got some shape down his top, has a tendency to get a little bit rounder at his hip in relation to his body size. Then we get into a couple goats, 2 or 3 down the line. They've got some elevation. They're long body in relation to the frames that they bring to the table here. They still don't have enough product on their skeletons to make them as competitive as the ones ahead of them. Nice trio up here. Congratulations to our exhibitors in class number 9.
Results from Class 9, 6th place. Taziana Soto, Steel FFA. 5th place, Brinley Bierstead, New Berlin 4-H. 4th place, Emma Hartman, Navarro FFA. 3rd place, Lovett Peck, New Berlin 4-H. 2nd place, Lily Lunday, Kingsbury 4-H. And first place, Riley Childs, Kingsbury 4-H. We will now have our Division 3 drive for champion and reserve. Immediately following that, we will have our grand champion drive. If you have a division champion or a division reserve champion, please come to the holding area at this time. Entering the ring out of Class 7, our first place winner, Alexis Guthrie from Marion FFA. 2nd place, Brooke Clements, Seguin FFA. Class 8, first place, Trace Guthrie, Marion FFA. And 2nd place, Rustin Canham, Marion FFA. Out of Class 9, our first place winner, Riley Childs, out of Kingsbury 4-H. And 2nd place, Lily Lunday, out of Kingsbury 4-H.
10.
Before you leave with your goats, if there's any chance your goat will be the project you are selling on Saturday, please take a picture with the official photographer back here in the corner of the dance slab. Please take a picture. We would rather you have a picture with every project rather than no project. Also, if you have decided on what you will sell, you need to turn in this little white card you were given with your ribbon. Your sale qualification form needs to be turned in here at the announcer stand or in the show office as soon as you know which project you will be selling. The absolute deadline for those cards is Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Please do not wait for the deadline to turn them in.
Let's give our heavyweight exhibitors a round of applause in this drive. Nice set. There's give and take with every one of these for me. There's some minor things you'd like to change, maybe a tick off or rolls in their hip just a bit. To me, maybe one that you want to get them a little bit more elevation, or maybe when you get them on the move where they get their head up, so sometimes they have a tendency to drop their chest floor. Again, we get into heavier animals. We've got to make that's a concerted effort. We've got to make sure that we're paying attention to that, because they have a tendency to get a little bit forward through their chest as they continue to the maturation process. With that said, I think there's some give and take. For me, it gets down to not only handle, but again, just the more complete goat for me in terms of design, in terms of rib, in terms of hip. And then you combine that with the power. Again, the goat that's going to be your champion, it handles good enough for me today. He's firm enough, and I think he's just a bit better in his rib in terms of his hip. A really nice one in his own right. The one that's going to be your reserve roll, boy, it's just hard as a rock. Really good. Maybe have a tendency to get a bit tick off in his hip, but wants to get his legs up underneath him a little bit on travel away from you. Not near as naturally wide in terms of base width as our champion, but that's getting real critical as well. Again, let's give him a round of applause as well, and we'll recognize the young lady out of Class 9 as your champion. Congratulations to her. Class 7 is your reserve champion. Congratulations to her. Good job.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations to our Division III champion from Class 9, Riley Childs from Kingsbury 4-H. And Reserve Division III champion is Alexis Guthrie from Marion FFA. If you have a division champion or a reserve champion, please come to the holding ring at this time.
Go through bachelor's and allegedly master's.
We will now have our grand champion drive. We would like to acknowledge and appreciate our buckle sponsors. Our champion market goat buckle was donated by Double J Livestock, Alex Jones family, and our reserve champion market goat buckle was donated by the Rollo Insurance, Monica Thomas. I don't. If there's anybody here from Rollo Insurance, we'd like to have you in the ring to present the belt buckle. We will now have our grand champion drive from Division 1, Reese Isham from Class 1 and Navarro FFA. From Division 2, our champion Jasmine Missildine, Class 6 from Outdoor Challenge 4-H. And our Division 3 champion Riley Childs from Class 9 and Kingsbury 4-H. In second place from Division 1, and reserve champion from Division 1, Reese Isham, Class 2, Navarro FFA. Reserve champion Division 2, Riley Childs from Class 6 and Kingsbury 4-H. And our Division 3 reserve champion, Alexis Guthrie from Class 7 and Marion FFA. Immediately following our champion drive, we will have showmanship. We will start with our junior showmanship. So if you are in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade and would like to exhibit your goat in the showmanship division, please come to the holding area. We will then have intermediate showmanship, which is for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and our senior showmanship for high schoolers. We want to thank Mr. Zimmerman for coming to see us today and coming to judge our show. We appreciate him giving her his time and his effort sorting through these goats.
Boy, it's been a fun show today. A really nice competitive classes all the way up from 1 to 9. You talk about goats that, for me, I hope you can see what I see. If you don't, that's okay. It's my call today and not y'all's. But with that said, these goats are built right. They're cool looking. You got to have them looking right. They got to be good from the side. They got to look good from the profile. Then you combine that, because that's one of the things that's nice about this is I get to handle them and everybody else doesn't. And I can assure you, every one of these dudes have got plenty of power. They got plenty of shape. They're really good in terms of their lines, but yet they're really good in terms of their condition and power. For me, again, I'd like to, even when we were feeding a lot of animals at the twins, and we're buying them, we never handled a single one. They had to look right. They had to travel right. They had to be right in terms of their build first before we even put our hands on them. I think you could tell a lot in relation to the way goats, genetically are going to come out in the ways they're built, in terms of hip, in terms of rib, in terms of stoutness, in terms of form, all those kind of things. For me, again, there's a number of goats out here, and I've judged, a number of shows lately. I was in Runnels County on Friday, and they're pretty some heavy hitters there, and you have some good ones in the goat barn. I was east of Houston on Saturday morning judging a show, and there was one goat that I used for Grand there, and it just so happened it was the same young lady that I used in August. I didn't recognize her, didn't know anything. I said, "That's a good one." She said, "Well, you used him in August." I said, "Well, he's really good." Why do I say that? I say that because these guys right here are just as good or better than the ones I've seen, and that's talking about people that have put banners up at the major shows before. So you should be very proud of the ones you brought to me today. With that said, again, it gets down to touch, handle, design. When they move, they don't change. That's extremely important to me. A couple that are exceptional in terms of their handle design. One that's going to be their champion, elevates their game just a little bit more. It's one as good of a goes I've seen in quite a while. To me, really handling good. Let's give a round of applause to every one of our exhibitors and let's recognize the middleweight as your grand champion. Congratulations. That's a good one. Congratulations, young lady. So you bring that middleweight division 2 or that middle division out, and you start taking a look at this goat. And when you get this goat moving, you get him pulled apart. You can see how he runs uphill. Boy, he is just exceptional in terms of his handle. He's just good in terms of his lines. I like him in the way he blends. I like him the way he wedges up through his front. To me, he's really good. But that's going to be your reserve champion as well. Let's give him a round of applause. Good job. Good job.
Congratulations to our grand champion, Market Goat from Division 2, Jasmine Missildine, Outdoor Challenge 4-H, and Reserve Grand Champion from Division 2, Riley Childs from Kingsbury 4-H. We will start junior showmanship. That is 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. If you would like to participate, please come to the holding arena. One last time, we'd like to recognize our buckle donors. The champion Market Goat buckle was donated by Double J Livestock, the Alex Jones family, and we appreciate Mr. Jones being here to present the buckle. And our reserve champion Market Goat buckle was donated by Rollo Insurance, Monica Thomas. As we get ready to get started on our showmanship, we'd like to recognize our showmanship buckle donors. Junior Goat Showmanship buckle was donated by the Producers Co-op. Our Intermediate Goat Showman buckle was donated by the Galen and Teddy Oslowski and Ernest Hartman Jr. family. And our Senior Goat Showmanship was donated by Quarter Moon Plumbing, AC, and Heating. It is 2:13. At 2:18, we will start junior showmanship. If you are interested in participating in junior showmanship, you have 5 minutes to get to the holding area. It is 2:15. You have 3 minutes. If you plan on doing junior showmanship, we will start at 2:18. Barbara. All goats. If you have placed with your goat and have any inclination that it will be what you sell on Saturday, please take your picture with your goat before you leave today. If you have decided what project you will be selling, please turn in your auction card, your sale qualification form, the small white card that was given to you with your ribbon. If you have any questions, please come up here to the announcer stand. We'll be happy to try to answer them. All goats must be removed from the barn by 4 p.m. today. All goats need to be out of the barn by 4 p.m. today. This will be our junior goat showmanship. This is 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. We would like to take a moment and thank our shaving sponsor. They were donated by the Farm Bureau of Guadalupe County, along with our live stream sponsors, D&D Farm and Ranch.
Is it MT Heart? An MT Heart? Is that what it is? I didn't hear it. No, I didn't tell you. We got one more. It's MT Heart.
And our live stream is also sponsored by MT Heart Livestock. If you are in the 6th, 7th, or 8th grade and plan on showing an intermediate showmanship, please come to the holding ring at this time. If there is a representative from Producers Co-op, we'd love to have you in the ring to present our junior showmanship buckle.
Let's give our juniors a round of applause. Nice set. Big group. We got you to moving. I think that's important. You know, I got one award, right? That's terrible. We need like 3 or 4 or 5, you know, because I think it's deserving. Really good set. They got to look good. You know, I always say this all the time. You got to have them looking right from the profile because I can take one glance and see the entire class. Okay, you always have one little. There's a small window of opportunity to make a really good impression with your animal, and if you miss it, it's tough. It's like you're fighting uphill for the remainder of the class. And so, if you can do that, you got to make sure you do that at the best of your ability. For me, again, it's not about one or two things. It's a compilation of everything from when you begin in the arena, and again, being efficient, knowing what to do sometimes, and you've got to anticipate what the judge is going to be looking for, or where he's going to be, and where the animal needs to be, and that's just part of being a good shower. And so a lot of times it's extremely important. With that said, I do believe there's about 5 or 6 people that are deserving of an award. Unfortunately, we only have one. Again, it gets back to the completeness of being able to show that animal and being efficient. For me, there's one. It's very close between first and second, extremely close. And I could go either way with both of them, but making sure that they're doing everything they can to do the best of their ability is the one that's going to be the champion today. And again, it gets real close. But the young lady that started from the beginning, let's give her a round of applause. That's your champion. Congratulations. Good job.
Intermediate showman, if you are in the 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, please be in the holding ring at this time.
Chester.
Congratulations to our junior goat showmanship winner, Abigail Owens. And she will receive a belt buckle that was donated by Producers Co-op. Intermediates, this is your last call. If you want to participate in showmanship and you are in the 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, you need to be in the holding area at this time. If you are in high school and would like to participate in senior goat showmanship, please come to the holding area at this time. Our live stream is available at jeffrieslivestockmarketing.com/live stream, and we're happy to have that sponsored by MT Hart Livestock and D&D Farm and Ranch. Also, our official photographer for the show is Dylan Voiles, and you can find your photos at livephoto.com once they are available. Please remember to take your picture with whatever project you're planning on selling on Saturday. If there is any chance that it will be your goat, please take a picture with your goat before you leave the grounds today. Our shavings for the show ring were donated by Texas Farm Bureau of Guadalupe County, and we appreciate their sponsorship. The belt buckle for the intermediate goat showman was donated by the Galen and Teddy Oslowski and Ernest Hartman Jr. families. If you are in high school and would like to participate in the senior goat showmanship, please be in the holding ring at this time.
It's just seniors left.
Nice set of intermediates. Congratulations. Let's recognize them with a round of applause as well. There's some, it gets down, there's a lot of give and take here on this group. And I say that because they got to look right? They've got to look right from the side. They've got to handle right. Okay, we talked about the juniors. We asked them a question. I think there may have been 20 in there, and we were 0 for 20. That's all right. That didn't make the difference. It didn't break the tie by any means. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're 0 for 12 in here. That's okay. Even if you get it right, a lot of times it's more for my entertainment to see what you're actually going to say than splitting hairs in terms of that. But it can, and to an extent. It's a compilation of everything. They've got to look right. With that said, again, I've said this before, you don't have to have the best animal to be the best shower. You got to get everything out of them, in my opinion, that you can. With that said, there are some things that are absolutely, you can't do that. And there's a few of y'all that are really good showers that you did oh gosh, you don't do that in a showmanship class. And so, again, there's some give and take. Are we perfect? No. Is it a deal to where every time you get an opportunity to get in the ring, you do that because you're going to get better? Every judge is different. Every ring's different. Every animal's different. You got to do all those kind of things to make sure that you get in the arena, get comfortable. You're going to learn how to do things from now until when you graduate. And I always say this all the time. Watch the really good, the elite showers and do what they do. You know why? Because at some point in time, those little ones are going to be watching you guys as well. So it's a pass it down kind of effect. Continue on, keep up the good work. For me, it gets down to not maybe so much as doing everything right. It's what you did the least amount of wrong. And so for me, it gets real critical. Again, it gets real important. There's some things you just can't do, and that's kind of where we're eliminating a couple of y'all. Going behind the back, as soon as that goat dips his head, he's gone. Whacking on him, something like that. You don't ever know who's in the crowd. We're pretty close to San Antonio, Texas, all right? And you cannot do that kind of stuff because there's some people out there that they don't understand what we do, right? And so we got to make sure that we do the right thing all the time. So with that said, let's give a round of applause for our champion, the young lady in the very beginning here. Congratulations to her. Good job.
Congratulations to Brinley Bierstead from New Berlin 4-H, winning our intermediate showmanship. And here to present the buckle is Mrs. Galen Oslowski and Mrs. Kathy Hartman. It was donated by Galen and Teddy Oslowski and the Ernest Hartman Jr. family. Senior showmanship. If you are planning and participating in goat senior showmanship, please be in the holding area at this time. Our senior goat showmanship belt buckle was donated by Quarter Moon Plumbing, AC, and Heating. We are honored to have Joel Frederick here to present that buckle today. Entering the show ring at this time is our senior goat showmanship. These are high schoolers exhibiting goats today. We're happy to have everyone here, and we really appreciate Mr. Zimmerman coming down from College Station to judge our show. Let's give him one more last round of applause as he judges our senior goat showmanship. We will be unloading hogs into the hog barn tonight. If your trailer is blocking the hog barn, it will need to be moved as soon as possible, like now. If your trailer is blocking the hog barn, it needs to be moved. All goats need to be removed from the barn no later than 4 p.m. If you are on the street side and blocking the hog barn, please move your trailer. The hogs are starting to unload for their shows, so please be mindful to not block the swine unloading.
Nice set of seniors. Let's recognize them also to kind of wrap our goat show up. asked them a question, and it's funny because I asked this one a lot, and they all must have been talking out there because one of them said the right thing, and then it kind of went down the line. And usually not very many people, if any, get that right. That's okay. That's all right. I got more in my wheelhouse. It's, in fact, I got one. If you ever showed me in the lamb side, I'm gonna stump you on that one because that's very specific to lambs. But we're not in the lamb show. We're in the goat show, and I can't ask that question because it doesn't pertain to them. With that said, y'all did a good job. Congratulations. I talked with the younger ones. Again, follow the good ones and watch the really good ones. And the really good showers can be 9-year-old. I mean, I've judged a lot of shows, and I've watched some really good ones from 9-year-old all the way up to 18. And so keep up the good work. It was certainly a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the invitation. It's been fun. It certainly has been a really outstanding group of young people to work with. You got a good group here in Guadalupe County, and I really appreciate it. With that said, for me, it gets down to just being just a little bit more flawless, a little bit more efficient, confidence, not arrogance, confidence. And this person's probably got a little bit more than sometimes, but that's okay. He reminds me of my son, the young man on the very beginning. That's your champion. Let's give him a round of applause. Good job.
Congratulations to Mr. Mason Wurzbach Sr. from Marion FFA. Presenting the belt buckle from Quarter Moon Plumbing, AC and Heating is Mr. Joel Frederick. We want to make sure that Mr. Zimmerman knows that we appreciate him. Please thank Mr. Eric Zimmerman one last time with a big round of applause. One last time, we'd like to thank our shavings donor. They